What a journey you've been on over the past few weeks. Hopefully, you've begun to see yourself differently and begun to realize how God is preparing you for a life of influence as part of His mission. We've talked about the unique deposit that God has shown you for purpose. We also talked about how He can't use what we won't acknowledge. And so our prayer is that you're starting to own it a little bit more. We talked about labels and ripping off the labels and lies which have been over our lives. We talked about the power of women and men released and the importance of helping our sisters step into God's truth about their part in God's mission. I hope you've enjoyed exploring your timelines and have begun to realize how God has prepared you for this life of influence that you've been given. And now today we want to talk about the power of courage and confidence. At the beginning of the course, we identified a couple of themes which we see men continually struggling with. The first is a wrestle for their true identity, both the logo on the front of the jersey being part of God's team and it feeling accepted by that and part of His mission, and owning the name on the back of the jersey. The second struggle is a lack of confidence or courage to move forward with what God has for you. Men will come to me and say, I've always wanted to do, X, Y, or Z, or someone needs to do something about that. And yet they themselves will resist doing anything about it because they lack the courage or the confidence to just go after it. Leadership will always demand that we stretch ourselves. Sometimes we're able to push through that feeling of being uncomfortable and just go for it, but more often than not, we resist or hold back. Our ability to rise to challenges and take risks often rests on our current level of confidence. So here's what we need to know about confidence. Confidence is not a static thing. There is an ebb and a flow to it. Some days I am confident, just going for it. I'm on God's team and nothing can stop me. And other days I'm hiding in the bathroom, wondering how I can step out and face the day, let alone those big challenges requiring amazing confidence. Been there? I want you to pause the video for a moment and discuss this question. In your experience, what kinds of things undermine your confidence? Chances are you talked about fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of criticism. You may have talked about a lack of knowledge. You may have talked about comparison, like how you can't do it like somebody else can. Or even so low self-esteem, not believing that you have what it takes. It's important to note here that confidence and self-esteem are not the same thing, although they are often linked. Confidence is the term used to describe how we feel about our ability to perform roles, functions, and tasks. It's kind of an out here thing. Self-esteem, on the other hand, is how we feel about ourselves, the way we look, the way we think, whether or not we feel worthy or valued. People with positive self-esteem can have low confidence, and it's also perfectly possible for people with low self-esteem to be very confident in some areas. So what can we do? How can we move forward those things which feel beyond us? Well, I love that confidence can be built. You can grow in confidence. So here's a few keys that you can start playing with even today. One, we touched on this in the introduction, but it bears repeating. We must start with recognizing the true source of our confidence. Everything we have comes from God. He is the giver of gifts. He's the one with the plan. He is the one who gives us purpose. He's the one who brings life to anything we ever try to do. I always have to come back to this. I don't know about you, but for me, recognizing Him as the source takes the pressure off of me to perform. I don't have to be the it guy. And in fact, I just have to follow Jesus. If He asks me to do something, He will equip me to do my part. This means I can rest in him. Then, when I feel myself losing confidence, then I know it's time to evaluate, how much am I relying on my own abilities? It's so easy to take on things ourselves. We can start doing a God idea, relying on him, and then we get into this planning, executing mode where we begin to take over and, okay, God, I've got this. I'll let you know when I need you again. But that is not how it works. He is the source of our giftedness, our ideas. He's our source. And because of that, he's the source of our confidence. If you find yourself floundering, you can ask yourself, where am I placing my confidence? Is it in my ability, or is it in God and his call and his provision? You can build your confidence by knowing your strengths. I mean, this is why you've taken this course and we've discussed your strengths. Confident people know their strengths. They know what they're good at and also what they're not so good at. It is a-okay to say, I am good at this. In fact, it's essential in order to move forward in leadership. I feel good at big vision. I can see ideas and things that other people can't. I can see kind of the future of where things can go, and I know it's what I bring to the table. But I'm not as strong with some of the details. In fact, my eyes can glaze over and I can miss key processes needed to get to that big dream. But it's okay. I concentrate on my strengths and then bring along others on my team to help me with the details and the processes that are needed. Thirdly, you can take an inventory. We are forgetful people. We forget who we are and who God is. I laugh because in the morning during my quiet time, I can feel God and his presence and calling on my life so strongly. But then by noon, I've totally forgotten. So we can forget who we are. We need to remember. And so take an inventory. Try keeping an achievement log, the things that you know how to do, things that you've accomplished, maybe education or places you've traveled, projects, languages, computer programs, like hard skills. And it might feel weird to kind of pump our own tires, but this is not for anybody else. It's just for you to remember, and it helps build your confidence. Secondly, I'd recommend an encouragement folder. I've kept one for many years. I've got one on my laptop and one actually in a file folder. If someone sends me an encouraging email or note or card, something where I had an impact on them, I put it in that folder on my laptop or in that file folder in my office. When I'm having one of those days where I feel like I'm the world's worst leader, I read some of it and remind myself of who God has created me to be. Number 4, clarity of vision helps build confidence. This is asking yourself, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And why do you want to do it? Sometimes a lack of confidence is related to your vision being muddy. And when we aren't able to communicate, we can lose confidence in ourselves. If you can communicate what you're doing and why you're doing it, it will build your confidence. Number 5, plan and be prepared. Let's just say you have a presentation to make and you left it to the last moment and then your computer crashed and you ran out of gas on the way to the presentation. How are you feeling? Your confidence goes up when you are prepared. In this, what I call a volatile life, I practice and prepare, and I find myself doing things like practicing what I'm going to do and then praying up a storm on my way to do the task and even phoning a friend to pray with me as I step up to face a task which requires me to be confident. It's being well prepared. Number 6, building skills improves your confidence. We can ask ourselves, what is it that I want to do? What do I dream? And then the very next question is, what do I need to learn in order to do this well? What are the tools I need in my tool belt so I can take on the job? It's looking for the gaps and figuring out how to fill them. When we started ZOE Network, technology was not in my wife Leanne's skill set. She didn't know that Google was YouTube and Gmail, but to move forward, she knew she needed to learn social media, how to build online courses, etc., etc. And those were her gaps, and she set out to fill them. I am so proud of her and how she took those areas on. She's even editing some of these videos. What are your gaps? What do you need to learn in order to move forward? And how will you fill those gaps? Do you need to take classes or read books or even seek mentoring? We'd encourage you, as you begin, focus on the basics. Don't be a superhero. Take baby steps. Having success builds confidence, and then you are able and willing to try bigger things. I'll never forget when I first led a leadership conference. There was a full year of preparation, conversations, budgeting, tech planning, marketing, before we even got to the event, and then it happened. That experience of doing all of that built my confidence. And this is such a huge area for men. For me now, I've signed up for some leadership coaching with a key mentor. Why? Because I recognize there are gaps still in my leadership where I lose the plot. I lose my confidence. Where are your gaps? What do you need to learn in order to move forward? So we want to pause here and have you talk about confidence and courage together.